40 years ago, when I first came to Greenville as a bride, lived on the east side and taught on the west side of Greenville. And in the spring, I always made sure that I drove down Pinckney Street so that I could see the beautiful azaleas, the landscapes, the old houses, the old homes, the arch of trees. It was just absolutely gorgeous, and I loved making sure that I went out of the way to come down Pinckney Street. Well, now all these years later, I'm a resident of the Hampton-Pinckney area, and I've lived here for 23 years, and I love every single thing about the spring in Hampton-Pinckney. It's just romantic and delightful and wonderful. I'm Linda Price, and today we're going to learn facts, fallacies, and maybe figmentations about the Hampton-Pinckney Historic District. Don't go away. If you love history and you love mysteries, then Hampton-Pinckney's got it all for you. In addition, we also have lots of tall tales and some quirky neighbors and just wonderful, wonderful idiosyncrasies. We sat down recently with some of the neighbors and listened to some of their stories about moving to Hampton-Pinckney and also about having lived here a good long time.
We lived on Paris Mountain for 23 years, where we were perfectly happy and had a wonderful home. And later, Linda more or less said, "We're moving to the downtown area of Greenville. You can come with me or you can stay, but I'm moving." And so that's what inspired our move. That was my inspiration and motivation. We found a number of older houses, but when we came here to this area, we were where Linda was immediately drawn to this house. And I think my first comments were over my dead body because of all the work that had to be done. She didn't hear that, and so we proceeded, and we spent the better part of a year redesigning and rebuilding the house.
I've always loved Hampton-Pinckney, and there have been many times I've suggested we move to Hampton-Pinckney, and Earl said no, and he didn't want to tackle an old house. But we love the neighborhood, the beauty of the neighborhood. The house is a craftsman-style house, and it took a lot of work, but the bones of the house were beautiful to begin with, and it's just the right size for us at this point in our lives.
It is beautiful. It is historic. It is, as I call it, a truly hysterical neighborhood as opposed to historical.
The neighborhood's very eclectic. You've got older people, younger people. It's a very interesting mix of people that live in this neighborhood.
I'm quite amazed at the number of people that either live down in this area or in the downtown area, or certainly frequent the downtown areas. Every time we go out, we're continually seeing new people and many guests of Greenville, visitors, as well as natives.
And it's also a dog city. I mean, when I walk a dog downtown, it's like everybody else on the sidewalk has dogs. There's the Barkery on Main Street. It's a dog store for dogs, so it's a lot of fun.
I do believe that there is a certain type of individual that is attracted to something that's old. I just find that there's something in common with every one of the neighbors, regardless of where they came from, how long they've been here, their age. They all love the character of an older home versus the thrill of something that's new and modern, and that's got its merits for sure, but the people that love the old homes have something in common. They're just different people. Patient people. We were always 3 blocks from Main Street. So these lovely old homes in their prime were very close to the heart of the city, and that's what's happened again. So to be able to walk, we're just, I mean, there is the heart of the city as far as the arts. It's right there for theater and the library and our museums, and all of that is 2 blocks, if a block and a half away, and we can walk to baseball games, walk downtown for dinner. If there's something playing at the Peace Center or the Bylaw, we can walk there, and we do. That's how we get there, is to walk over and walk home. And it's almost joyous to be that close to the center and the pulse of things, and to be in it as well as a part of it. Downtown it's alive, and so is this old neighborhood. The other thing that is interesting is you see these old houses, and if people drive through and they're driving through the street, they don't really appreciate how many young families live in old houses. So what we've got are families who were young when they moved in, and now we're all excited because these kids are off to university or starting their families, and we remember them as little children here. We have new families moving in, and almost without exception, they're a young family with little kids. There's like 30 kids on this block of all ages that play together, and so it's very vibrant, and it's got a sound that families bring to a neighborhood, rather than a neighborhood where you don't hear kids playing. You have to hear children playing, or it's not a neighborhood to me. So it's a really involved, fun place to be. You wave at a lot of people when you're out. And you know, it's weird. I think, technically, I don't know, I'm not a realtor, but we've been told that if you are purchasing a property that is haunted, I think they're supposed to tell you. I really do. I think they're supposed to tell you. Well, of course, we weren't told that there was a spirit that lived in this house, and I suppose it might have made a difference to some people. But we were aware of there being something unique about this house before we were then told. So it's not like we knew there was something here because we were told. We already thought, wow, something very unique is going on in this house. And so then as you're sort of out and you're meeting neighbors, hello, how are you, and where do you live? And it's like, oh, you live in the haunted house, which it was a good thing we'd already discovered that. So we knew. And people tend to associate haunted with what they do in film or in books, because I suppose that's the only good read. But there was also The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. So there's spirits that are kind, and that is the spirit that lives in this house. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's a good feeling. And we found out after that the people that we bought this home from had actually had whatever they're called, people that come in to try to take a spirit. They actually wanted the spirit to go with them to their new house, and did whatever people do to try to have that happen. And they were not successful. She chose to stay in this house with us, and it's nice. It's a comforting home with her here. I don't know anything other than to say she likes it here. And we like her here. Yeah.
Coming up, we're going to take a virtual tour of some of the more historic homes in the area, and we're also going to find out what it was like to grow up in the Hampton-Pinckney area. Stay tuned.